Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the BrightWolves Sustainability Challenge final event. I'll introduce a bit the BrightWolves Sustainability Challenge for the people who don't know about it, and then I'll go over the agenda and our jury for today. So the BrightWolves Sustainability Challenge takes place every summer. It's an event that aims to reward the Belgian startups and scale-ups that are engaged in sustainability. And we offer to the winner of the contest 1 month of free consulting. And that's why we are here today. So the challenge has 2 phases. One phase is the qualifier, which this year saw 45 participants. So that was amazing, a lot of traction and a lot of wonderful companies. And then the second phase is the final, where out of those 45 participants, 10 are selected to pitch their project in front of the jury, and that's what we're doing today. So today the participant will explain their project, will demonstrate their sustainable impact, their market potential, and the value BrightWolves could bring them in this 1 month of free consulting. So without further ado, I will show you the agenda that we have today. So we have 10 participants. The 5 first finalists will be between 4 and 5:30. So we have NOOSA, the first contestant, who changes the fashion industry with a new recyclable fiber. We have Skysun, who we call a Sun as a service provider. So can't wait to hear more. We have MyMove, who provides electric fleet shared mobility to company. And then we have Slimbox, who makes tailor-made packages to each good. That's pretty unique. And then finally, Greenomy, who is your personal auditor for sustainability certificates and information. And then I will go over the 5 after the break that we have. So without further ado, I will introduce you to the juries. So today in our juries, we have a wonderful panel of 3 external jury and 2 internal jury of BrightWolves. Our first jury is Katja Koppens, who is a climate reality leader and previously the voice of EcoVert, and currently she is relationship manager at The Shift. Our second jury is Christophe Van Duur. He was previously working at BCG in projects focusing on NGOs, and today he is a venture philanthropy manager at Telos Impact. Then our third external jury is Pascal Durdu, who is a sustainable ecosystem builder. So he's an expert in sustainable transformation for company, and he's also a founder of farming for climate. And then we have Miguel Van Dam, who is partner at BrightWolves. He's passionate about sustainability and also supporting companies in their sustainable transformation. And finally, we have Lode Verbruggen, who is senior manager at BrightWolves, and he's leading the internal track at BrightWolves. So now you heard a bit about our jury, and we will start the event because we have a big program ahead with NOOSA as the first contestant. So we will bring in the jury and the participant that will show their pitch really soon.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, Luna, perfect. You can share your screen with us normally.
Okay, I will. Wait.
Okay, so welcome, Luna. So you have 50 minutes, I think that was briefed. We might interrupt you with questions, but okay.
No worries. Yeah, perfect. Let me go straight from the beginning. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Luna Aslan, and today I'm going to explain what is NOOSA about. So at NOOSA, we created a circular textile fiber. We created it based on the textile industry that is today the second most polluting in the world, and we really wanted to solve that problem that is the textile waste. Not only offering a solution to brands and to the manufacturer for the post-consumer waste, but also for the pre-consumer waste, that is like all the scraps, the losses, and so on. And in the end, that accounts for like 50% of the textile waste. So based on that, we created NOOSA, a biorenewable textile fiber that we make endlessly recyclable thanks to our patented technology. So this is the way we operate. So we start from GMO-free corn that is then transformed into lactic acid. Lactic acid is something natural that your body produces, especially when you have a cramp, and is today used as a natural food conservator. And when you modify it chemically, you reach what we call PLA. So PLA is our raw material, and that is today mainly used for everything that is food packaging. So we really took the challenge to apply it to the textile industry. And so we extrude it into a fiber and then spin it into a yarn. And those are the two products we sell directly to brands or to the manufacturer. So those people will then transform it into an end product. In this case, I take the example of a garment, but it can be also way more technical application. And then it is sold to the end customer. And as NOOSA, we guarantee that everything that will be collected will be recycled back into a virgin quality fiber, and this endlessly to reach circularity. This is done thanks to our NOOSycle technology, where we do have a lot of patents, and that is the real added value of NOOSA. And like, it's really a breakthrough, because basically what you can do is that we are able to separate our fiber from any type of contaminants, so any type of pigment, any type of material blend. Whether what you find today in the industry, when we talk about recycled cotton, recycled polyester, it is usually up to 30% maximum that is being recovered. And this is done by mechanical recycling, which is limited for any type of material, and that will deteriorate your product, meaning that you cannot do it like endlessly, but also you will use it back in a lower value application. That's why we talk about downcycling. Then comes the biodegradability.
You don't compare with linen? Do you compare with linen?
No, I mean, not here, but I mean, for everything that is mechanical recycling, it's limited for everyone. Then biodegradability of linen might be similar as the one of cotton and cellulose, which is like basically it's natural fibers, so it's the same. Okay, but then you will see linen in the comparison, you will see. So in terms of biodegradability, we are biodegradable under certain conditions, but we do not play on that because first of all, we have the means to make it circular, and we truly believe in that, but also because the customer are usually not educated in that sense, meaning that we don't want people to think that it's okay to throw away their t-shirt in the street and that it will eventually disappear, because it's not true. And lastly, we showed that we're one of the only one in the world today able to recycle at 100% our textile fiber. So we see great advances in PET industry, but nothing applied to the textile industry yet. Sorry, there's a problem when it goes back at the beginning.
I have a question, Luna.
Yes.
And actually the previous slide you showed is a good one. With the whole chain, let's say.
Like this one?
What do you think is the weakest part of the chain for the complete circular element here?
Definitely the collection. I think it's the biggest challenge of the industry today.
Yeah, and you will need to collect specifically the clothes made with these materials, right?
Yeah.
Do you, as a company, also want to support apparel companies with this, or do you see your role purely on the first part of the chain?
So first of all, we are very upstream and very downstream, since we also recycle it, but definitely we offer some support to the brands to help them recover it and like collect it properly. We also accompany them a lot in the eco design of the product at the really beginning to make sure that it goes through our recycling process. But I think that it really depends on the application and the strategy of the brand. So we haven't been through all the application here, but for example, it will be very different if you sell, for example, if Zara makes a t-shirt with NOOSA fiber, or if you do like curtains for hotels. Like at Zara today, they already have like collection systems, so you can definitely rely on their like logistics. They're already educated their customer and so on. So this is pretty much like established. Whether like if you stay purely in B2B, actually you can really reduce the length of the loops. For example, an hotel changes its curtains every 5 years. So you know that actually every 5 years you will recover like, I don't know, X tons of curtains at the same time from the same person. Because if you rely on the B2C, of course, the goal is not to decrease the quality. So I'm really happy if we can be able to recover the t-shirt in 15 years. We shouldn't like retrieve like t-shirts that are in perfect state and can still be used, basically. So on top of that recycling aspect, we also care about our whole environmental impact, and this is what you can see in the tab below. So we did, and we do have a life cycle assessment analysis. This is based on a Higg index that is quite used in the fashion industry. That is a good starting point to actually compare traditional material. So in green, you have everything that is natural origin fiber. They usually have a pretty high score simply because of the culture that is very water intensive. And so we showed that we have on average an environmental impact that is 50% lower than conventional cotton. Again, there's a lot of cotton. And in the score, we already integrate the energy needed for the full recycling. So we try to continuously improve it. Sorry, there's really a bug. Voila. And on top of that, we show that our fiber shows great intrinsic properties that are particularly interesting for the textile industry, such as increased breathability, low odor retention. It's low flammable, bacteriostatic, so it avoids like bacterial growth. It's hypoallergenic. It has a pH really close to your skin, so it provides like comfort, and it's also stable to UV. I'm really sorry. Voilà. So based on that, you can think of many different applications, and this is where the market where we see the greatest demand today. So it's definitely like apparel and clothing industry with a focus on activewear and underwear, but also everything you can find at your place or in your office, like curtains, carpets, and stuff like this. The whole bedding industry, whether it's the filling of the mattresses or the cover of the mattresses, and also a big demand in the workwear industry for like medical blouses and so on. So where do we stand today? We are established.
Maybe before we continue, a question on my side on those applications on previous slides. Sure. What is going to be your priority in terms of development in the applications? Because you mentioned the B2B and the B2C. You know, and in the like apparel is the first on the page, activewear is the second, whereas on the B2C side, the recollection is going to be not only, as we mentioned, in terms of logistics complicated, but also there's going to be low incentive for a customer to bring back his used T-shirt 10 to 15 years later. So I'm wondering what is the level of priority that you're giving to the different applications, and if you're working on prioritizing the right topics.
Sure, it's definitely a good question. It's true that when I started NOOSA, I really only thought about the fashion industry. It's only after that I realized like more technical industry. As you mentioned, I think today this is where you have the biggest interest, but to me, it's a very long shot because you also have to educate the end customer, have all this logistics. And for that, we're lucky also because European Union is putting like quite strong incentive and legislative for textiles, but I think it will come in a second time. Today, I focus priority on the workwear industry because we believe that it's quite a simple product. You know, when you go into bedding, into carpet, you have a lot of regulation. It can be quite technical and can take a long time to develop your product. Today, the workwear industry, for most of them, they already have a loop system, meaning that if I take the example of a medical blouse, like a nurse, she will just put her blouse in some kind of bin at the end of the week. And there's an external company that is leasing those blouses, and they do wash it and they do replace it when it's not okay. Today, they burn it. They could just bring back to us directly, basically.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Miguel, I think you're muted.
Yeah. Move on. We have a very few time left. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, and it started again at the very
Okay,
beginning.
that we understand. Big issue. You're back at.
Sorry. Okay, so we are based in Belgium. Our production takes place in China. Today we're a complementary team of 6 people. People mainly working in the labs. The chemical labs are in Brussels, but we are now investing in expanding the team for the commercial side. We do own 4 patents at the time, and we will file 2 more by the end of the year. We have this trust of investors. So we did a seed round in March 2020 of €500,000, and we won the prize of the most innovative startup in January this year of another €500,000. We do have a concrete and tangible innovative product that is already, like, the version 1 is good to be sold and is actually sold. But we're already working on the version 2.0 of our product. And we have the interest of notable brands. So today we work in product development with like the biggest European brands, let's say, in the previous industry I mentioned. So voilà.
Okay.
Sorry. So today our sustainable impact, I listed 3 key environmental benefits that were accredited by the Solar Impulse Foundation. So we are a bio-based material, meaning that you don't have to drill petrol anymore to produce some clothing. We are 100% recyclable, and also we have a 30% reduction of CO2 emissions compared to conventional cotton again. I think we really, I shortlisted the SDGs that
Luna,
that are
very quick question. And for water usage compared to cotton, do you have an idea there?
Yes, so our life cycle assessment is comparing a 100% t-shirt NOOSA, the whole life cycle, with a 100% cotton. So whatever.
But I think it will be important to compare with local production of fiber, which is linen, because there is something growing as well, and it's really local fiber. And comparing with the worst one, which is cotton, might be a bit too easy to get arguments.
The reason why we compare ourselves to cotton is that, to be honest, the most used fiber in the world today is polyester and cotton. So when we go see people, they're interested only by those 2. And so we compare ourselves with synthetics and traditional natural fibers. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's maybe also linked to the fact that it's fast fashion, which is not sustainable. And sustainable can come either from the fabric or from the way you use it. And if you keep a clothes very long, this is also part of sustainability.
Yeah, I do agree, and I know all the advantages of linen. It's just that beyond like the fast fashion industry, to be honest, linen is really like a small share of the market. And if you go for more technical application, really often it's like polyester or cotton. So those people today, you have to tell them like, okay, I will replace that and with like similar properties, because linen is also very particular in its structure and its rigidity and the properties it offers.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left, so maybe one more question from the jury. And
so I may have one question. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was interested in terms of the coloring, like which type of dyeing process do you typically work? Because like that's also a huge source of the environmental impact on the whole process, and which seems to me in your assessment quite external. You only focused on the fiber, depending on how compatible you are to certain low impact or lower impact dyeing processes that will have a huge impact on your end-to-end overall impact.
So actually, we do not control that part. The impact in the loop, like the brand will pick which color they use, basically. So we compare ourselves with polyester for that. So we do disperse dyeing. This is the technique to dye our fiber. And we are currently investigating also all the natural dyeing solutions to like push it to the brands to say, okay, if you want to decrease your impact further, you can use those ones that we tested with our fiber, and here are the instructions to dye it properly.
Okay, guys, thank you very much, Luna, for this very interesting pitch. It was very active, a lot of questions, so I'm sure the jury was really interested. This is the time. Time is over, so I will ask the jury to join the jury's room to deliberate for 2 minutes, and then we will continue with the next participant. And yes, so thanks a lot, Luna.
Thank you,
Thank
Luna.
you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Luna.
Okay, so we move in a separate room, right?
Yes, in the jury room. Now you should be able to join it normally in the breakout room. You can join the jury's hall.
Yes.
Please do so because you have the master on this. Tu vois, Pascal, sur Breakout Rooms, dans l'onglet de Zoom, et là, tu peux rejoindre Jury's Hall. Pascal, can you hear me? Because
Yes, I can hear you, but I don't see the invite.
No, it's in the tab bar of the Zoom. You have an option that is breakout room. I don't know if you see it. And then there you can click to the thing. Hello, Leopold.
Hello.
The jury is still in the jury room to deliberate on the previous speech, but I invite you to already share your screen and get ready. I will tell them to join you in this room very soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do you have it? Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I do.
Yes. Hi, Leopold. Welcome. Make sure to keep the pace and don't reply too longly on our questions. Otherwise, you will not reach the end. Good luck.
That's good.
Very curious.
Do you want questions? Do you want to ask questions during the presentations, or should we wait for the 10 minutes?
We are impatient.
Okay, you will interrupt. Okay, so my name is Leopold Kapeters. I'm the co-founder of Skysun. Skysun is a solar power company, and I'm going to tell you more about it. So first off,
sorry to interrupt. We don't see your screen on the screen share.
I'm actually sharing at the moment, so I'll share everything. See if that works. That better?
Yes, we see it. Perfect, and it's widescreen. Perfect.
Okay, cool. So as I said, Skysun and Leopold. So the vision, let's start with a bit of context. There's a growing electricity demand, and there's a necessity to decrease the carbonized electricity. And in Belgium, we're phasing out nuclear. And in the EU, we're actually aiming to have 40% less greenhouse gases by 2030. That's a big program. And there's also a market boom because we're having more and more electricity demand, and industry in any case needs to kind of secure its supply and prices, which is a big aspect of industry. They want to make sure that they can have supply for the right price for long term. So we're financing the ecological transition, and we're doing that by creatively stimulating companies to become actors of sustainable development. Basically, what's our solution? We are scaling solar power for corporates by financing their solar power projects across the EU. Now, what does that mean? It means that we're a decentralized energy supplier. We will third-party invest in their solar panels. So what that means is that we will pay for solar panels that we put on their roofs, the roofs of companies. And over the long run, we're going to be selling back that electricity. So basically, they're still going to have their main energy supplier that is centralized, coming from a central power output. And we will be a decentralized provider. And we are actually at the moment with all our clients. It also allows us to be super competitive with prices. So on top of being environmentally friendly, being decentralized means that we don't need to pay any taxes for the grid and so forth. And so we're actually selling at 30% discount compared to the grid. Now this actually supports industry to achieve their carbon targets, and they love it because they have no capex, they don't need to invest, and they have no opex because it's our solar panels and we will manage them over the long run. And so if anything breaks down, they don't have to actually take care of anything, because if we want to win any money, we need to make sure that our panels are producing the best they can. So we're also proud members of Solar Impulse. We're an efficient solution, part of the 1,000 solutions curated by Bertrand Picard and his team for, well, a transition. So environmentally friendly solutions, but also economically viable. And that makes sense in the business world. We're a B Corp, which is a big achievement that we succeeded to get last year. And more business-wise, we're members of Solar Power Europe, which is a lobby basically for solar power across the EU and allows us to kind of stay in touch with policies and so forth across the EU. Our strategy is to focus on medium-sized facilities. The big guys play with the big guys. So if you go to AB InBev, they're playing with Engie, and we don't really have any space in that environment. The cost of capital of Engie is far below ours. And so we're really focusing on medium-sized, which means either groups with multi-locations that have kind of a lot of small projects, and that we're going to be really good with that, or small and medium companies that are not directly the focus of the big guys, let's say. We're independent, and that's important. Also, sometimes when we work with large groups, they like the fact that we're not linked to an energy provider. So there's no strings attached. If you work with Skysun, you can still have whatever provider you want on the side. And it doesn't come with kind of a tied contract for electricity, which is all always kind of a risk. Next, we're a turnkey solution. So as I said, no CapEx, no OpEx. Skysun comes in and we manage everything around the solar panels. So a track record of 5 megawatt peak and counting. In 2020, we've consolidated let's say 2 megawatt peaks, so of power, with different actors such as AG Real Estate, Hugo, Gondor, Sandstone, and we also had a B2C service. And now in 2021, we did 3 megawatt peaks, so including the largest urban architectural project in Europe, a record-breaking project here in Brussels. And so this kind of shows that in the first 3 years of our existence since 2017, we did 2 megawatt peaks, and then in 2021, we did 3 megawatt peaks. And so we're actually kind of scaling now and picking up speed. Financials, we have a consolidated investment of 4.2 million. So that why consolidated? Because we have a few subsidiaries, and that brings us a turnover of 1 million. What is really nice to have is that since we're having long-term projects, our turnover is secured for the next 10 years. All our projects will bring in some turnover for the next 10 years. The impact is 12,000 solar panels. So it means 3.7 megawatt hours per year. And in tons of CO2, it amounts to roughly 750 tons of CO2 every year for the next, not 10 years, because it's not just business numbers, it's environmental numbers. And so the solar panels will produce for the next 25 years. So the environmental benefit is actually much higher. Now the team, so Arthur and I, co-founders, I'm more on the strategic long-term partnerships, sales, kind of front office, and Arthur is more on the back office, legal, finance, asset management. We've got a nice little team around us, business developers and managers, and we have Benoit Cadewart, which is our construction advisor, and also our only investor at the moment. Our ambition is to, in the next 5 years, to install and operate over 270,000 solar panels. So going from 12,000 today to 270,000 in 5 years. So that's 100 megawatt peak compared to the actual 5 we have right now. So this means avoiding 8,000 tons of CO2 every year. And it means investing 50 million in sustainable assets, not only in Belgium, but across bordering countries, and kind of start linking out to Europe. Sorry.
What are your key differentiators versus other players? I mean, there are a few players who operate like this. What's like your unique or your unique vision on that, and your secret sauce? Where does it come from?
I think our secret sauce comes from transparency. We are actually showing, and this is actually how we landed our first clients, is showing our financial plans and showing how much we win. It's always been kind of a murky subject around the subsidies and that things are moving. And so actors never really know what you're winning. They know it's a win-win situation. It's pretty obvious that our gains are linked, but they never know actually how much. And so we just took the party to actually open up our business plans and actually show our
And so, where do you need help at the moment? What would be like the kind of support you're looking for?
So the kind of support we're looking for the BrightWolves is operations and processes. At the moment, if we're going to be scaling 50-fold, 20-fold, sorry, the management of assets. There's a lot of processes that go through there, going from sales to operations and the transition between this. We're now really building I think a quite strong system through Notion and different softwares. But I think it'll be interesting to have someone that has seen a lot of different processes from a lot of different companies, then kind of can boil it down to what would be good for Skysun. Next thing is data. I think as an entrepreneur, as a business manager, I'd like to have a better pulse on the business and be able to know weekly where we're going, where we're standing, is our KPIs in order. And the last thing is finance. Although I think we're pretty good at this, maybe a further optimization on different points might be possible.
We have 1 minute left, 1.5. Any questions from the team?
Maybe a question on my side. In terms of financials, so one of the advantages is that the companies don't have to bring the capex, but the capex needs to come from somewhere. So where do you get your financing, and where will you get the financing for the growth strategy that you have? And you already mentioned part of it being subsidies. What's your contingency plan if the subsidies or the percentage that the public is going to provide is going to decrease, which might be the case once this actually really picks up?
Okay, so it's a 3-part question. Let's tackle first the financing model. So bank 90%, subsidiary loan for 10%, roughly. It can vary a little bit, but roughly we're having 100% leverage, and that's how we've grown the business since the beginning. So the bank offers the loan, and then private individuals or companies, I'm going to get to that, lend and then the remaining 10%. Second thing, how are we going to secure investments for what we're talking about? We're now in the final round of closing. We actually had an agreement on term sheet today with a structural investor that will open up a credit line for those kind of remaining 10% for any project that's inside a certain scope. So that's kind of covered. And then the last thing is really important because, of course, as you mentioned, subsidies, yes, they're good because they enable to kind of start businesses and open up markets, but they know they shouldn't be structural. And so at the moment in Brussels, for example, we're having this business model where we sell back electricity, right, on the long term. But in fact, there's quite a lot of subsidies, so we're able to sell them for like 30 euros a megawatt hour, which is like 10% of the actual cost from the grid. If we were to move out of Brussels, which we are now, sorry, I realize this might not be the clearest explanation, but if you go out of subsidies, the price that the energy we're selling is just raising, but it's still staying way below the grid price. So just put numbers on it. You're paying 200 euros per megawatt hour. I'll come to you in Brussels and sell it for 30 euros a megawatt hour. Then we'll go out of Brussels and meet in Leuven, and you'll still be paying 200 euros per megawatt hour from the grid, and I'll be selling you my electricity for like 90 euros a megawatt hour. So it's still a no-brainer for you to go through our service.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Leopold.
Yeah.
Great pitch. I invite the jury to go back to the jury's room to deliberate, and we will bring the next participant to the pitch room.
Okay, should I click on something, or are you sending me back?
I think you can leave the meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks to you. Bye-bye. Fully removed. Hello, Guy-Louis. You're on mute.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. So the juries are in the jury room right now deliberating on the previous participant. I'll let you share your screen now and invite them to come back so you can start your pitch.
Perfect. Looking forward to it.
Hello, Guy-Louis.
Hello.
Welcome. We will try to stick to the 15 minutes because, as you have seen, we are already a little bit late. We might interrupt. Make sure to maintain the high pace so that we can cover everything.
With pleasure. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, members of the jury, and thank you for the opportunity you give me today to present MyMove. And I would like to start today with a paradox. You know, as you know, the car are very expensive assets, yet at the same time they are unused almost all the time. This is not new, and the current trends will only make matter worse. Right? You have regulatory changes and tax increases that will make the car even more expensive. You have new ways of working because of COVID and home working that will make the cars even less used. And thanks to the acceleration of the new mobility options, the free floating, the ride hailing, and all the electric bikes in general, the cars will be even less used. So this paradox is only going to become greater. And what do we want to do about it is we want to capture that untapped value. Because why? Is because we believe that to have a sustainable impact, a solution needs to have a wide adoption and therefore needs to make financial sense. This is why we have created a platform that will facilitate everything related to sharing vehicles. And when I say vehicles, it's cars, it's commercial vehicles, but it's also bikes and e-steps, all right? And the way we do it is with a mobile application for the end user, the employee, or anyone using the car, where they can book a vehicle, they can unlock the vehicle, they can pay for the vehicle, they can check for damages. So we really want to remove every single piece of hassle that could arise. On the other hand, we have the fleet manager that can see who was using what vehicle at what time to make sure that they remain in full control. And in the middle, we work with connected vehicles, or we can connect existing vehicles. And this allows us to capture the untapped value of fleets in two ways: reducing the number of cars, which has a sustainable impact and a financial impact that are both positive. And second, by monetizing the fleets by renting them out. Again, so that it can make financial sense. This is how we want to increase wide adoption. In terms of our market potential, we are not only growing, but are taking part in the mobility market. The corporate car sharing market is growing at 75% per year currently. And we are present in 3 market segments. The first one is what we call the pure fleet. The pure fleet is we optimize the fleet size and simplify all the internal sharing process in a company or amongst tenants of a building. The second one is open fleet, meaning that we monetize the fleets by renting out these vehicles. And the third one is a mobility budget, where we can replace every single salary car by a mobility budget that can be used using those shared vehicles. We are present in Belgium on the 3 segments, but we are also present in Switzerland, in the Middle East, and in Central America. So the change is not only happening in our regions, but it's really something that we see on a worldwide basis.
How did you land those contracts in other countries? What's the?
It's in 2 ways. First, with the fact that we actively go out and preach to these let's say open fleet potential car rental companies or car dealers and so on. But also we work with strategic partners. And so, for instance, one of our hardware providers does not have a software suite, and so is giving us some leads in that. And so we can not only get our own clients, but we also get some from our strategic partners, and we have tremendous growth thanks to the combination of both. Next to the market potential, and another aspect I wanted to touch upon is how do we get to a sustainable impact? The first one is obviously climate action, and you know, we need to reduce emissions every year, and so transportation is 29% of the CO2 emissions, and out of those 73% is road transport. And we want to reduce the number of cars. We want to do it in two ways. First, as I said, by sharing them, so this means that we can use fewer vehicles, and second, by introducing soft mobility, having in the same application cars, but also bikes and e-steps. This is how we can push it forward. The second one is, and especially with the introduction of electric vehicles, emissions is not only tailpipe emissions, right? It's also producing the car, and it's even more important with the electric vehicles. And it's therefore crucial to go way above the 4% usage rate that we are having at the moment. Because there is no tailpipe emission, we need to make sure that we don't produce too many of these cars, and on the contrary, use and share and use as fewer cars as possible, and this can only be done by sharing. The third one is sustainable cities, smart cities, you know that changing habits takes time. Okay, and if we want to improve the air that we breathe in cities, we need to reassure the people we talk with, both the employees and the employers, by saying a sentence as simple as that: don't worry, if you need a car, there will be one. Okay, and by the way, in the app you will also see that you have two-wheelers available for you. So take a bike, take the public transport to come to the office. Don't worry, there's a car if you need one. Okay. And the last one is in terms of industry and smart industry and smart vehicles. What is very dear to our heart is to make sure that we don't ask our customers to ditch their own vehicles and replace by new ones that are connected. But on the contrary, we can connect to their current fleet, any brand, any model, so that we can make sure that we bring the change without increasing the waste issue. So we equip the existing vehicles that they have, and so we can prolong their lifetime. I would like to thank you for your attention, and I will just finish by I could have been consensual by ending up with a quote from I don't know, from Greenpeace, but I'd rather have a quote from actually Goldman Sachs, that even them say, you know, mobility is changing, and they confirm that over the next decade, mobility is going to go through a tremendous transformation.
I have one question for you. Are you a software company, electronics design, or are you a kind of installation integration company?
We are a software as a service company. So what we provide is the layer that will facilitate everything related to fleet sharing. And we rely on connected vehicles or on hardware that allow to connect existing vehicles to make sure that we can access these vehicles with a smartphone. But what we develop and what we have developed in-house is the mobile application and the web application. So we are a software company indeed.
Can you go a bit in detail on your biggest success today, like in terms of usage and
so what we are doing right now is and what I think is a great success for us is the brand, the Audi is launching Audi on demand, and we were able to convince Audi Belgium to use our platform to facilitate basically the rental of Audis, and to make sure that instead of having all the replacement cars of a car dealer unused over the weekend, they could rent it out to all the neighbors, and therefore offering a new mobility offering. All right. And so if you go on the App Store today and you download the Audi On Demand app, it's actually our application that has been white labeled for them. And so this is one of the way we helped bringing a new mobility offering on the market.
And do you think that your solution will reduce the usage, or there might be a rebound effect somewhere?
what we see is actually the results speak for themselves in terms of maybe another example to answer your question in a very concrete way. One of our clients, they have 80 employees that decided to go for the mobility budget, so that gave away their company car. All right, and everybody in the company say that this was only made possible because MyMove was there to have a vehicle when they need. And these 80 people, these 70 people use 7 cars together. They use 8 cars, so 70 people, 8 cars. So we were able to remove a tremendous amount of vehicles, so 62 vehicles from the road, because these 70 employees only share 8 vehicles together.
So that's the versus a regular mobility budget company that will just do the allocation. Here you enable the sharing. That's the differentiating aspect, right?
Exactly. So they do not only have their own bike or their public transport subscription, they can also access the shared fleet that is facilitated by MyMove, indeed. And so 70 people, 8 cars.
That's an amazing success.
Yeah, maybe a key question on my side. What's your target audience? Is it going to be, because you talk quite a lot about company cars and the fleet managers, that is also very specific to the Belgian market, which is very keen on company and fleet cars. But this will decrease in Belgium and everywhere because the tax advantage is going to decrease. Is that going to be your priority, knowing that it's a decreasing market, or is it going to be the communities of citizens? You mentioned people in the same building, and that is a complete different channel. It's a complete different strategy to contact them, to be in contact with them. So I see there a little bit of a discrepancy.
Okay, thank you for your question, and I fully adhere with that in the sense that as you can see here, the mobility budget is not going to be the biggest part of our growth. So the pure fleet and the open fleet are where we see the biggest potential. Pure fleet being the typical example there would be, we are in talks with the RTBF and the VRT, by the way, because they have a fleet of cars for all of the journalists where they need to go out on missions and so on, and we want to help them with sharing of the vehicles. You can see all the cases where you have commercial vehicles, vans, where you have workers going around, and they have some that are assigned to a driver, but there are others that are pooled, and we want to increase that the proportion of cars that are pooled. Mobility budget is just a tiny part of what we do. This is where we started, so this is why it's kind of dear to our heart. But we are also able to cater for other type of cases. And in terms of the tenants, we are working with Immobel, where we have started a project with them, where in the basement of one of their building, we have cars, steps, and bikes that can be used by any of the tenants.
And what's going to be your priority in terms of development for the next years? That was my question as well.
Our priority is on the open fleets for the moment, because this is where we see that the market is the quickest to react, and this is where we see the biggest short-term potential. So we are going to focus a lot on that over the next few months, bearing in mind that the pure fleet is a very important one as well, and we have our main shareholder that is D'Ieteren, that can help us get in touch with fleet managers, and this is also another strategic partner that we have, and that allow us to get in touch directly with the correct person in the large corporation.
Okay. Any last question?
Yeah, maybe a question that we had also for the previous. Where do you think that you can still use some help? What are the topics from a consulting point of view where you could still improve upon in the next couple of months or years?
So we are in the process of fundraising. So in order to get our message out there in terms of being able to have no, let's say, contradictions in everything we say, and make sure that our message is crystal clear. Plus, in the internationalization, this is something that we are only starting. So we have been quite successful in some deals around the globe, and it really motivates us to go further and quicker outside of Belgium. And this is really a part where how to structure, where to start, how to target. Do we target everywhere? Do we do country by country? Those kind of strategic questions is definitely something where we could use your help.
Thank you very much, Guy-Louis. The time is finished for your session. Thanks a lot for your great pitch. Again, I will ask the jury to go to the deliberation room, and we'll bring in the next participant. Thanks a lot, Guy-Louis.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.
You too.
Hello, Philip. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Indeed, my name is Philip.
The jury is still in the jury hall to deliberate about the previous participants. So I will go there and ask them to join. In the meantime, you can share your screen already and get ready to pitch.
Perfect. All right. There we go.
All the best. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Philip. Welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yes, same briefing as for everyone. Welcome. We wish you good luck. Make sure to speed up the presentation, and if we ask questions, don't go straight to the point. Okay.
All right, I'll try. Thank you. Well, as said, and as you can probably see everywhere, my name is indeed Philip Rose. I'm the founder of FitThings, and with our startup, we make sure that our customers always have the right size box for the goods that they wish to ship. That means that we're mainly focused on e-commerce companies and SMEs in particular. Now, the way that we do that is by delivering a Slimbox to their warehouse. And I can understand that you start wondering, what is a Slimbox? Well, a Slimbox is a machine that cuts any kind of box with any kind of dimension from corrugated cardboard. So it can be any kind of model of box. Oh, sorry, you can't really see that because of the layer. Yeah, doesn't really work that way. Or any kind of size. So what needs to be done is the user only needs to enter the dimensions they need, the model that they would like to have, and out comes the box. It's that simple. Of course, it needs to be useful too. It's not just engineering. Thanks to our solution, what companies do is they drastically shrink their ecological footprint. Not only are they shipping a lot less air, which is useless, and in many cases, single-use plastic filler materials, all these plastic cushions that everybody knows when you order something online. But there's also a lot less corrugated cardboard used because, well, the boxes are smaller. On top of that, smaller parcels also mean that you can put more parcels in the same vehicle, transport vehicle, hence reducing also over time the amount of carbon emissions that are being exhausted. Now, besides the, sorry?
I have a quick question for you. The issue today is the air and the size of the box, or the weight of the box in the logistics? The
size and the air, yeah, and the filler materials and all the extras that you don't need actually.
Okay, thanks.
Now, besides the ecological aspects, there are also a lot of economical advantages. Just think of the cost of the boxes that drops because you don't need all to buy all sorts of boxes. You use a lot less warehouse because you only have standard corrugated cardboard. You don't need any filler materials anymore, etc., etc. But on top of that, in some countries, it's not everywhere, but in some countries, there is what is called the dimensional weight. Generally speaking, it simply means that the smaller the boxes, the less you pay for transport. And at that point, it really becomes a very, very interesting solution. When we look at our SDGs, we're just as any other startup, I'm guessing, we're really trying to make a change in the world. But the way that we want to do it is by allowing companies to optimize the way that they're shipping their things. That means that we're focused on climate action and on responsible consumption and production. We wouldn't even exist if we wouldn't be doing for these goals. Our solution really helps reduce a lot of materials, but also allows companies to use 100% recyclable materials when shipping their goods. Corrugated can be recycled up to 7 times or even more. Of course, it doesn't end there. Though indirectly, I already mentioned it, we also make it possible to have less vehicles on the road, and that adds a little bit up to the sustainable cities and communities SDG. Over time, as more companies start using our solution, that impact could actually be significant. And because our customers have no need anymore for all these plastic filler materials, these single-use plastics, we hope to at least well, not let the Pacific garbage patch in the ocean, not let it grow. We're certainly not Boy and Sled. We're not going to reduce the whole patch, but at least we're trying to eliminate a small part of the root cause of that patch.
Philip, I have a question. I think what we see here on the picture is a prototype, or do you already have them at companies? But my real question is actually, like, how many boxes does that create in 1 hour? Is that sufficient for, you know, a company that really has a high volume of boxes a day?
Yeah, and additionally, I would ask where are you today in terms of sales and projects, etc.
I'll get to that. Well, I'll kind of jump to that. I'll see if I can fix it. Currently, we're in 12 different countries all over the world, including the United States. We have in with our first version, which you can see here, which is, by the way, not a prototype. It's actually a machine that is being installed. We have paying customers, all that. The first machine we try to sell, and we're engineers, hardware engineers. So we're kind of nerdy about the machine, and we try to sell the machine, which obviously is not the best way to do it. Currently, we are working on what is called the Slimbox 2.0. It's a working title. It's the Slimbox 2.0. It's not only going faster. In order to answer your question, we're doing boxes at 30 seconds per one box per 30 seconds, which also means, and as I said in the beginning, we're mainly focused on e-commerces that are still SMEs. So the smaller ones that do somewhere, and it's a general term, somewhere between 30 and 300 boxes per day. That is where it becomes interesting. And instead of trying to sell the machine, which for these small companies is way too expensive, of course, we are now delivering it as a solution. We're actually renting out the machine or the total solution. We install the machine, we deliver the corrugated, and the only thing the customer needs to do is pay the monthly fee and press the right buttons to get out the boxes that they need. So the level to get into the whole setup is very, very little. We're talking about a few €100 in terms of risk that they take as a company, and so the way that they can test it out is just a few €100 that they can do. Let's see if I can get a bit back on my presentation. In terms of the market, maybe I could have a look at that.
The market is big, I'm sure, but your economics, how do they work? And you say 12 countries, so it means how many machines are operating today? Or
we're a little under 100 machines today. But it's certainly not what we had hoped for. We had a wrong start. And then we started focusing too much on the machine rather than on sales. Again, we're nerds. We're kind of focused on that. But meanwhile, we really learned a lot. We also learned a lot from the market. We know what their pain is, where they need to be, what needs to be addressed, and how we can do that. And that's a big difference from what we used to do in the past.
How can we help?
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to come to. Well, actually, as I said, we're working on that second model. It looks different from what you can see here. It's a bit bigger. It also has a different way of working, but because with that second model, we're also flipping that business model from selling the machine to renting out the solution. We are still struggling with setting up a total cost of ownership model, because we all know that companies really like being green and saying, hey, we're very green, but eventually, and certainly in the market where the margins are so thin, we really want to show them that getting on board with us also helps them get a better revenue, a better margin, have more over to invest in their own companies or grow, whatever they want to do with that. That is where I think BrightWolves could really help us figuring out those numbers, working together with us. We already have quite some data, but there's a lot more to it, and we don't have the big experience in that, and that's where I'm kind of hoping that you do.
Just a quick question: you are cutting using a CO2 laser inside the machine?
That is correct. Yeah.
So you could even do the marking on top.
Yep, I can maybe. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. We can actually put text in there. Yeah, sorry about that. We can actually put text in there, or whatever drawing that you can come up with your hands. It doesn't matter. We can put whatever in there. So that is I didn't talk about that, but that's actually an added value for marketing. And we're not saying that out loud too much, because we know that that's not the focus of the companies that we're targeting. But if we are looking at companies that are doing less than 30 boxes per day, it all of a sudden is not a solution for their shipping, which it still is, of course, but it's actually a marketing tool, and they can really personalize the things that they're shipping, and then it becomes interesting, of course.
And you don't use any ink, and you don't use any label.
No, it's all just corrugated and some power for the machine. That's it. I don't know if there's
any other
anything
question
else,
from the team.
I have maybe a question. How many boxes do I have to make to compensate the ecological impact of one Slimbox? Have you ever made that exercise?
Well, we're actually starting on a project with some people from TU Delft who are going to help us calculate that, because we are also interested. What I had written down in my presentation is that we really like the SDGs, but we're seeing them not so much as kind of a pissing contest with other companies and saying, okay, these are the numbers, because nobody can really calculate that, or it's a very hard exercise. We actually see them as values. So nonetheless, we want to give it a try to figure out how many boxes do we need to make before the impact is lowered. I can't tell today. That's it's impossible. One of the things, sorry for interrupting. One of the things that may be important to know is, from a hardware perspective, because we're renting them out, the machines stay our property. And in that situation, you're making hardware that lasts forever. You're building hardware that you, when it breaks down somewhere, you're repairing it. You're not replacing it. And that is something which will help drastically reduce the whole footprint of building such a machine too.
The only tricky part is the XY table inside. That's it.
Sorry?
The only tricky part is the XY table inside the machine.
Mainly, it's patented technology, but it's not a real table. But indeed, mainly that is one of the complex things. That in combination with the software, of course. The software is really complex. It's trying to make a box a bit bigger. It sounds so stupid, but it's rather complex in terms of calculations.
And they have to use your carton. It cannot be any carton.
Well, we're pushing it out because we have a good solution for that, and we can deliver very fast, but it's not a necessity. So if people say we have a supplier, okay, no problem, you're good to go.
But they have to avoid any PVC or stuff like that. That might be a bit dangerous. Yeah.
Correct. PVC, absolutely not. That's toxic. But we're trying to. So if they put other materials in there, they will break the warranty, of course, because that is not allowed today. Even though it's technically possible for many materials like MDF or certain types of wood, certain types of plastic, but that's not the goal of the machine. So we're not focused on that. Maybe later, but today our focus is absolutely on, removing air from boxes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Philippe, thanks a lot. This is the end of the 15 minutes. Thanks a lot for your great pitch. I will ask the jury to go in the jury's hall and bring the next participant. Thank you, Philippe.
Thank you. Have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good.
The jury is now deliberating about the previous participant in the jury's room. So you have the time now to share your screen and prepare for the pitch. Then once they're over, I will send them back here and you can start your pitch.
Okay, so I can share my screen now.
Yes, you can, just to get ready to start.
Yeah.
If it works, of course.
Okay.
Perfect. All the best.
Thank you.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Welcome. We can see your screen very well.
Okay, good.
You have 15 minutes all in, so there will be questions. Make sure to go fast. I would say we wish you good luck. We are very curious.
Okay. Let's start then. So thank you for having me and having Greenomy to participate to this as a finalist. So I'm Sarah Lockman, Head of Sustainability at Greenomy. So who is Greenomy? So this is our team. We are now more than 20 members with different backgrounds, different experiences from the European Commission, from the Luxembourg Stock Exchange, EY, etc. So we built this Belgian RegTech, and we were very honored and to be awarded in really like different competition at the EU level, but also globally. And we are shortlisted at the G20 Tech Sprint, which is very exciting, and waiting like for the announcement of the winners very, very soon. So we hope, cross fingers for us. So what we do, so Greenomy is a SaaS platform, which is cloud-based. Our mission is really to help companies to digitalize their sustainability reporting, because as you know, until now, we didn't know how to define which activity is sustainable. And the European Commission defined a tool, a classification tool, which is the EU taxonomy, to see which activity are green or which are not. So we codified this regulation into a simplest workflow for our clients. So the main mission is really like to digitalize the sustainability reporting from end to end, and also to simplify the taxonomy for the different players, which are financial, non-financial players. We have NGOs, advisory firms, etc. But beyond compliance, we really want to help companies to accelerate their transition into more sustainable future. So as you know, sustainable finance is really booming after the COVID crisis, and there are more and more regulations to come. So that's why at Greenomy, we want really to codify all the EU legislations regarding the sustainable finance. So here we are tackling the most challenges that all our clients and industry, the financial and non-financial industry are facing, which is a lack of sustainability experts. There is also a cost regarding the compliance or the non-compliance with these mandatory regulations, EU regulations, which are the EU taxonomy, the SFDR, which is the Sustainable Finance Disclosure Regulation, where asset managers, firms are obliged to disclose which part of their portfolio is green. And also regarding our market size. So as these regulations are for this first step, targeting listed companies and large companies for the next 2 years, but with the coming regulations such as the CSRD, which is the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, which target more the SMEs to disclose their non-financial reporting. So our market size is really like growing while these regulations are coming and are becoming more mandatory for our clients. So what we do? So we took all these regulations and we codified into 3 main portals, which are the company portal, where companies can screen their activities against the EU taxonomy requirements. And at the end, they will have a sustainability reporting with the information about their the alignment of the turnover, the CapEx and OpEx, which are the mandatory KPIs in the EU taxonomy. And once the company provided this data, which are not available now at the market. So this is really like our main approach is to take a bottom-up approach, which means to take really the raw data directly from the companies and then enable auditors and third-party verifiers to certify this data in our audit portal or assurance portal. Once the data are certified, they are available through APIs to investors through the investor portal, where investors can screen their portfolio against the EU taxonomy, and also for banks to screen their loan books, trading books, banking book against the EU taxonomy. So it's really like to create this ecosystem around the EU sustainability and sustainability reporting. So this is really our basis, the offer that we have.
Sarah, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
For this type of platforms, I imagine investors will not want to go to 15 different portals. So it might be type of market of, one wins it all. How will you make sure you win it all? How will you? Sorry. How do you make? I mean, if there are competitors, how do you make? What will make your solution, take a big market share?
Yeah. So there is one thing regarding the data. So we work mainly with other data providers such as Sustainalytics, MSCI, etc. But this kind of data providers do not have really like the raw data to compute the alignment of the companies against the EU taxonomy. So they can have just like the turnover, the CapEx and OpEx information at high level, but not really like at the activity level. And which is good for the investor. It's through the investor portal, they have like three main options, I would say. The company can screen their activities. If the company already screened, their activities in our company portal, so the scores are available for the investor. The second one is they can request other companies to come and do the screening, so they will have the information. And the third option is for the investor, if they use Sustainalytics, or MSCI, they can have access to their data as well if they don't want to request the company to do the screening. So our added value is really to create this ecosystem and help the investor, because now as of January 2022, the investors and the banks should disclose their non-financial information, but the underlying information, which are the issuers here, the companies are not obliged to do it. So they need to start reporting and disclosing their non-financial information. So like they can for their financing, for instance, for the next year or the next 2 years, but also as from 2024, they have to report the non-financial reporting under the CSRD. So this is like the first exercise for the financial institutions to do it, but they need the companies to do the screening as well. So I don't know if
it answers my question. I maybe have a small follow-up question. I see 4 important stakeholders here. Who will pay fees, or is it all 4 of them?
So here we have different subscriptions. It really depends on the business model. So for instance, if we work with an asset manager, so he will pay for the investor portal and he can invite freely the companies to do the screening, but the companies cannot share the results, the reporting with other stakeholders and for their own use. So they need to pay the subscription to use it for other stakeholders.
To broadcast it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the same for the banks, but also for advisory firms, what we offer, or the audit firms, what we offer them is also they need to they can pay, but they will need to also request some payment from the client against their auditing, or advisory services.
You focus on the EU taxonomy. Do you plan to do other stuff that are also important for companies like B Corp, CDP, GRI, and others kind of reporting?
Yeah. So for the moment, we focus on the mandatory regulation. So as you know, as from next January, listed companies and financial institutions should perform this exercise. So they need to do it. And we are now working on including the non-mandatory regulations such as GRI, TCFD, we have the CDP and SDGs. So we want to include this non-mandatory regulations so we can help the client to capture already the data that he generated, computed, etc., and then input it into our platform. So he will not do the work twice or multiple times. And this is also the main added value, because if a company, I don't know, there are multiple investors, so they will do the exercise once, and they will not have to redo the exercise every time the investor or the bank request some non-financial information.
How far are you today? How far are you today in terms of clients' effective impact, and what do you expect from a support of BrightWolves that we could bring? What's your upcoming challenge, or you need help?
Yeah, for the moment, what we really are struggling, because now we are mainly working with corporates and financial institutions from the Netherlands, UK, France, and Luxembourg. And we as a Belgian startup, we really want to to work with corporates here in Belgium, and we want to combine your know-how, because you have like the subject matter expertise and experts, and we have the technology. So we really want to help us how to tackle the Belgian market, how to expand our market coverage, and what we can do together to support companies to do their non-financial reporting. So for us, we have the technology, we have the tool, we have the EU taxonomy expertise, but we need like the advisory firm to help us really to expand our offering. And how we can do it. So what we offer is, sorry?
In fact, you even need a lot of consulting companies because this kind of taxonomy reporting will be linked to the strategy of the company.
No, it's really linked to the consultancy, because there are really a lot of things to do in the EU taxonomy. And now the clients, even the banks, when we discussed with them, they are enabled with their own resources to do it on their own, or even just directly with us, because they need like consultants to help them like to integrate the tool, to help them also to verify if they are compliant with
what I mean is that the taxonomy normally should enable companies to be more sustainable. So it's in a way a tool or a trigger to make them change of behavior, and they need for that change to adapt.
Exactly.
And use the taxonomy as a tool and not only as paperwork that needs to be done.
Yeah, but it's very huge. Huh? It's not like just a small classification. It's really huge, because it's different of what clients are doing before. Because as I said, everyone, like for instance, using TCFD, the others is DGs, but the raw data that is requested from the EU taxonomy isn't available in the TCFD or the SDGs or even the GRI or Grace B or other non-mandatory requirements. So because in the EU taxonomy, we have, like, for instance, if I take a company like having some plants doing some, I don't know, producing electricity via solar photovoltaic panels, for instance. So they need to do the Excel for each unit. So for each plant, to split really like their turnovers by plant, by activity, by macro sector. So it's really huge work. So that's why we really need consultants to do this preliminary work with clients, where to find the data, how to compute everything, and then once the data is not to compute, but just to gather the data, because we cannot do it ourselves, and then we can input this data in our tool, and the client can have his or her sustainability reporting.
Thank you very much, Sarah. It's the time is over for the pitching time. Thanks a lot for this great pitch.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
We will now have a break in the BrightWolves Sustainability Challenge for 10 minutes, and then we will come back with the next participants. Hello, everyone. So we will start again with the second part of the sustainability challenge. So we have a bit of delay, 10 to 15 minutes, but still it's worth it. So for the next part, we have 5 contestants. We have WANIT that redirects energy from your solar panel to heat the water at your place. We have BloomUp, who is an online platform to provide mental counsel. We have B4Plastics, who calls himself an architect of plastics, introducing biomaterials in the plastic. We have WeForest, who empower local communities through reforestation. And we have Ellio, that are e-bikes that aim to replace cars in the city. So stick with us for one last hour with those very exciting pitch. We will now bring the next contestant in the pitch room. Hello, Christian.
Hello, vous m'entendez?
Yes, I can hear well. The jury is in the jury's room. I will go and get them to come in the pitch room. In the meantime, I invite you to already share your screen to be ready to start. All the best.
Thank you.
Hello, Christian, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
I think all the jury members are there, so we wish you good luck. We are very curious. We might interrupt and ask questions. Just make sure that we have only a limited amount of time so that we can go fast eventually on some slides. Okay?
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you. Let me present myself. I'm Christian Baillet, and I'm the founder of WANIT. Do you see the slide moving? Yes? It's changed? Yes?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it works.
So WANIT is a green deep tech startup that develops products that allows the cost-effective incorporation of renewable energies for all type of housings, especially the smallest, and improve the energy efficiency of hot water distribution. Our first product range consists of a small hybrid water heater connected by a simple cable to a 1 to 5 PV panels, extremely compact, dual tank, and simple to install, which allows each household to reduce its energy bills for hot water by 85% for decades and without any maintenance. What is happening? We are arriving in a moment where we have to quit the fossil fuel and gas. And in some countries already, they've decided to stop that. And everywhere, the public aids that are given for helping renewable energy to be installed on the housings are decreasing or are removed. It's not the case in Brussels, but it's the case in many countries and in other regions in Belgium already. So what's the main problem is that when you try to install renewable energy in your house,
did we lose him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we score on the first part?
Yeah. Let's check the technical problem. So Christian disconnected. I suggest we wait a bit to see if he reconnects in a couple of minutes. Otherwise, we will continue with the next contestant.
Or maybe suggest that we take his part as the last one and we just go to the next one to lose no time. Well, you decide, Arthur.
Yes, I will just check with the next contestant if she's already ready. Okay, Christian is back.
Okay. Hello, Christian.
Hello, Christian. Can you hear us?
He's gone again. I have the feeling. Yeah. Oh, voilà.
Hello, Christian.
Sorry, I had an internet failure. I don't know for 1 minute. So I will restart where I was.
Yes, please. Don't forget to share your screen, please.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Do you see it?
Yes, all good. Let's go.
Okay, I was there. So the main problem for the renewable energy in housing is that people don't live in their house during the day, and so they self-consume only less than 30-35% of the electricity produced. So when there is no public health, even especially for small fields, the return of the investment is something like 27 years. So we have to improve the self-consumption of the electricity. There are other solutions for installing renewable energy in housing, like thermosolar installation or heat pump. But these installations have many problems, like size, like big investment, and lots of maintenance and pipes for heat pump and so on. So they are not so cost effective, and the return on investment is not very good. So the system that will allow us to be cheap, simple to install without any maintenance, allows to use all the production and store it into the house, will be the king. And that's what we have developed. This is the product. It's something that you can connect directly the PV panel to your water heater and to dedicate all the production of 3 to 5 PV panels to your installation. And so you are sure that you will use all what you can do of the electricity you produce. To store it, it's a dual tank that permits to allow very quickly hot water available. And if you have more production and want to heat during the night, it's possible to use batteries. You don't have to connect it to your installation to make certification. You only need hot water, cold water, and a cable, and it's done. So you can guarantee the return on investment. I will go quick because we lost a little bit of time. Our product is really in the center of all our preoccupations, because it allows affordable and clean energy for all housings. It covers not all the need of electricity, but it covers what you can do of small photovoltaic fields, especially for people who don't have many places on the roof or on the elevation facade to place them. It's also something that helps the city not to increase the distribution of electricity and to make sure that every house do his best to have water, hot water for the hygiene. It's guarantee the security of the quality of the water by the thermal treatment. And it also indicates a way to use the energy in a responsible way, because you start to pay your hot water only if there is a less of sun. So if you don't want to pay for your water, you just adapt your quantity of water, hot water that you use, and you will always be under the radar. What is our market? Our market is very huge because every household needs hot water. And today, more than 1.3 million of small water heater of less than 80 liters are sold in the countries around Belgium, like France, Germany, Netherlands, and UK. France for us is the best market to start because it's a country that have a lot of development of the electricity distribution due to the nuclear power, with houses that are very a lot in the countryside, and so there are a huge demand for reducing the bill of electricity and to install renewable energy. But all the countries around Belgium, and we make a study with the INSEAD people last year to define what is the best countries to start. And we have different regulation, different interests in different countries. And we can say that for us, in Belgium, for example, it's not interesting to start in Brussels, but Wallonia and Flanders are already very interesting to invest. We have estimates our addressable market of something like 500,000 packs per year, because it's not possible to install a product everywhere. There is a problem of roof not exposed. There is problem for quality of buildings in the cities, patrimonial, and also other big community that are not easy to go with. So we try to reach less than 1% of the water heat market in 5 years, which is already huge. And our product, sorry, I got too quickly. Our product fits for other use, like for off-grid installation, completely for Africa, for mobility, for people who have already invested in PV panels that want to increase their self-consumption because of the changing of the rules, like the prosumer tariff. So there are lots of sector that we can go, like the sector that is decreasing completely. In the yes.
One question: do you have a okay? The market is very big. That we see all the options. Do you have a solution for people who have already solar panels, and how would that work? Would this be?
So the solution for the moment, and we develop a special side product for them. But for the solution for us is to unplug 4 or 5 panels and to install our water system on these 4 or 5 panels directly connected. We are working on a side product to be able to switch very simply the production between one to the other system. But for the moment, that's the way we do.
Yeah, I see a solution where it would heat when you don't consume. Everything that you don't consume goes to your boiler, actually.
There are PV heaters that already exist, but the problem with the PV heater are that they are just on off, so they are just working when a certain rate of production is reached, and when the rate is over, they inject the electricity also. So it's less interesting, and the costs are the same, in fact, of our products. So we have more efficiency than the PV heater.
Okay. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. So
yeah, just to finish. Where we are launching the product now. We are some products that are already installed in test for with the CPS of Tournai, with the Régie Foncière de Saint-Gilles, that we have a contract with them, and we have launched the pre-sales already. And so now the target is to go to the market. And we have to face some challenge for that, and to go to different problems, like to start selling abroad Belgium, to increase the team, to go to raise money, and all for that. We think that maybe BrightWolves could help us in that strategy to define, and all the process that we have to install in the next year. So thank you. I think I'm just right on time.
Yes. Any questions?
I have a question. This will be mainly for individuals. How do you intend to reach them? Because I do think this is, for many households, a quite significant investment. And although, I mean, might be a business case, but how will you reach them and convince them?
So our product can reach the customer with 2 ways, or by direct information, or by the installer, plumber, and all the people who are installing already PV panels. In fact, it's increasing their market. Already today, less than 1% of the PV installation are under 5 panels. So that permits them to install and to have clients for smaller installation without reducing too much the money that they can do for that. And for the collectivity, what is very interesting is that when you have buildings with apartments, you don't have any solution to install renewable energy very easily, and that's the way. And if you install a collective installation on the roof, you cannot very easily separate the production to give them to each apartment. With our solution, you only put amount of panel for each apartment, and you have only a cable to link them, and it permits to stop the hot water loop during mainly more than half the season, and that reduce also the quantity of energy that are lost in the water loop in the big condominium. So there are more energy efficiencies if you install or product in the collectivities.
Thank you very much, Christian, for this great pitch. This is the end of the 15 minutes. So I will ask the jury to go to the jury room, and we'll bring the next participant soon. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Helen.
Hello.
Welcome to the pitch room. So the jury is still deliberating about the previous participant in the jury hall, and they will be done very soon. I'll ask them to join you here.
Okay, perfect.
In the meantime, you can already share your screen and get ready to start your pitch.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, great. All the best.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Hi,
Hello.
Katja. Hi, Miguel. Hi, Lode.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi, Pascal. Thank you.
Welcome. We are very curious. We wish you good luck. We might interrupt you and ask annoying questions.
Okay.
Make sure that we don't need more than 15 minutes. So keep the pace high and make it full screen if you can.
Yes, I will do that.
Voilà, super.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm Ellen and I'm co-founder of BloomUp, and I would like to start our story with presenting Sarah to you. So Sarah just started working and she's suffering, like a lot of young professionals, from a lot of performance pressure. And on top of that, she has a low self-confidence, which results in that she starts questioning everything and that she suffers from panic attacks. This starts impacting her job performance, and at the end, Sarah starts calling in sick. So both her employer as Sarah really don't benefit from this situation. And Sarah is not alone in this. 1 of 4 people faces a mental health issue in their life. And since COVID, the amount of Sarahs in Belgium has tripled. And knowing that only 1 on 3 of them finds help, make this really a big problem in Belgium. So that problem is exactly where we want to work on with BloomUp. We want to make mental health support more accessible. We are a strong team with more than 20 years of experience within startups, 5 people. So me and Clovis, we both invested, so we are co-founders. So we're really invested in this story and we really want to make a success out of it. And then we have Sarah, our clinical psychologist, and then 2 full stack developers who are part of our team. Then we also have 2 strong investors who back us up. So IMEC iStart and CM, the biggest mutuality in Belgium. What is our solution? So we want to help people as Sarah to get fast and easy access to a mental health professional that matches their needs. So how does this work? Via our accessible digital platform, she can answer a few questions, is then personally matched with a certified mental health professional. We have more than 100 professionals registered on our platform. And can then see 3 mental health professionals who fit her best, choose from them, reads a personal message, see a picture, so it makes it very personal, and then meet very shortly like 15 minutes and very fast with this professional. And when there's a click, they can schedule more video consultations via our platform and really follow therapy. What's our business model? So we both have a B2C access as well as B2B. We started B2C so people can directly access our platform via our website, but our goal is to scale more further B2B, where the employer pays for the consults, and in this way lowers the financial barrier to mental health access. And so the employee gets mental health access for free and can be using BloomUp. At the other hand, we have the professionals who use BloomUp as a very flexible work tool and who pay a commission on the consults. The market size in Belgium is about 28 million euros, but there's also a lot of potential unlocked in our neighboring countries. What are our achievements? So we launched our platform in January. We had a small pre-seed round of 150K at that moment. And then we scaled further fast through B2B2C. So we find partners to spread the message about BloomUp and get more people aware about our existence. And this resulted in total already to more than 1,000 consultations on our platform. And we also sold about 820 credits, and 1 credit is 1 consultation. And our main focus now is on the B2B channel. So here we started 2 pilots with Christian Mutuality and then also with CallExcel. And we just finalized a new capital round of 500,000, in which the Christian Mutuality also participated. About 30% of the people who made use of BloomUp would otherwise never have considered therapy. And at the moment, we have a 6,000 euro monthly recurring revenue. What is our vision beyond that? So by 2023, we want to become a holistic B2B mental health platform that provides the right care at the right moment. So not only talks with therapists, but also more innovative ways of following therapy or being more aware about your mental health. And by then, we want to have helped more than 20,000 people and being active in Belgium and what other country, which we need to define. About our sustainable impact, I think it's clear we're focusing on SDG 3, so good health and well-being. And what is mostly mentioned in that is that access to quality care is really essential. And this is really in our core. So our core is really to increase accessibility to mental health care by using the social entrepreneurship model. So one of our values is really to put the mission first, and but scale and have more impact through having a sustainable business model. About 30% of our clients would have not have access to mental health care without BloomUp. So that means that we are really making it more accessible. And that's the proof. And we also really have it anchored in our shareholder agreements. So from the moment we would make profits, 20% would be allocated to make mental health care more accessible for underprivileged people. And this is where our investors also sign to. So we're really looking for the right partners. Where do we need the help of BrightWolves? So as we are achieving now first traction in Belgium, we already would like to study more about potential international expansion. So how could we scale our impact beyond Belgium, and where and how should we play? And I know that you also know that startup founders and people who work at startups are super busy. So to ensure like full impact of the potential prize of winning 1 month of consulting, we have found really a stellar intern who would be full-time available and who would also be working on this project. So also BrightWolves can really have sustainable impact of your services by executing this project.
That's amazing. Great pitch. If I can, a question. Can you go a bit more in detail around the technology / service / a roadmap? Like how do you plan beyond connecting people? What's like the layer that you're trying to develop, or what's your roadmap? I understand the geo expansion and the footprint to connect that, but are you working on parts that will make you unique in terms of quality? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So what are we focusing on this year is to make our platform really to make the basics work very well. So to have a smooth, good matching flow, to get people to the right psychologist where they can talk with for 1 hour. But how we look beyond that and what's our product roadmap there is that really in 2 years, we want to grow to a more holistic B2B mental health platform. What does that mean? That on our platform, you won't be able to only like talk with a psychologist for 1 hour, the classical model. No, we will also look for shorter sessions, chat therapy, digital content made by psychologists, make communities of users, allow journaling application so that we can provide the right care at the right time for everyone who needs it. And we will really focus more on the preventive parts. So in mental health, you have like the green zone of people who are already feeling good, then the orange zone where people like have mild complaints, and then you have the red zone of really like mental health problems. And we really want to focus on that green-orange zone to be more preventive and to help people to become mentally stronger. And so we can avoid that people really become mentally ill and that worst consequences happen. Is that an answer to your question?
Yes, a little bit, thank you. Other questions?
Is there anything on the emergency mode? Like people maybe willing to commit suicide or stuff like that?
Excuse me?
Is there any plan on something like emergency or crisis mode?
Yeah, so we clearly mention within our platform that we are not a crisis platform. So if you're in acute danger or you want to like hurt yourself, it's not the right place, and we refer to the helplines immediately. But also if that would if a person starts with us and it evolves and maybe there's some suicidal symptoms in the in the registration on our platform, they need to leave an emergency contact so that the psychologist can contact someone in case he or she sees signs of something worse happening.
Thanks.
Okay. Is there another question?
So it would not be like a subscription model where you have to be member for a year. You can access it just at the moment you need it.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, our longer term vision is to really, so we started our platform B2C. We have now the partnership with the CM. They will do a huge B2C marketing campaign. We'll reach a lot of people. The goal with this is that we have really a lot of traction and credibility, but our ultimate goal is to become a B2B platform and to use that traction to convince companies. And there we work with a subscription model for companies where they pay on top the credits for the consultations.
And how many employers were you so far able to convince? Because it's an additional service that they offer to their employees, I imagine. It's part of probably kind of like a package, like we also offer free healthcare, mental health care services and so on, I imagine.
Yeah, indeed. So what you see in the market is that depending on the size of the company, they already have an EAP system. through which you can access psychological support, but that's typical from companies with 1,000 employees. So we are really targeting that market below now at the moment, till the time that we really have a holistic platform, and then we also want to target the bigger companies. But at this moment, we have 2 clients confirmed, and I hope this morning I had a very good call for a 3rd client, really a stellar client, so we can really scale faster.
Well, I hope you get that client. Okay.
A quick last question on my side. In terms of the offer, how's the traction with the psychologist in terms of sourcing enough psychologists, and what are you expecting will be the impact of the after COVID? Like, is it going to be actually more difficult to convince psychologists to join the platform in the next year than it was over the last year and a half?
Sorry, can you shortly repeat your question, because I only understood half of it because of a poor internet connection.
How are you contacting psychologists, and how do you manage to get psychologists to offer their services on your platform? And are you expecting that after COVID it will be more difficult to do so than in the last year and a half?
Yeah, very good question. So at this moment we have more than 100 professionals registered. How they mainly came to us was 30% word of mouth, and we also made use of really psychologist influencers, so people where other psychologists look up to, who also assist us with expertise and advice how to do this, and mostly also through social media. But we're also in contact with the federation, and especially through the CM, for our further marketing campaigns to psychologists. We will go more and more via federations. Then the question if they would still use our platform post-COVID. So I think COVID had a big game changer in the mindset of the psychologists, and they really started using teleconsultation. And we hear a lot of positive feedback that it's more time efficient, that both them as a client are really in a comfort zone, and this way more open, and that sometimes they go more faster, more deeper. So we really hear positive feedback. How will we hook them to our platform is, so if you go more B2B, the money streams will be through us. So they need to use our platform and to register on it in order to get the money. And also B2C wise, we will integrate the repayments by the mutuality, and therefore you also have to register it on our platform. So that's one way of getting them on it, but also of course we want to go beyond the simple features we have at the moment to really hook the psychologists more to our platform. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much, Ellen, for this amazing pitch. It's the end of the 15 minutes. Thanks a lot again. It was a great pitch. I will ask now the jury to go deliberate in their hall, and then we will bring the next participants.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Ellen. Bye.
Hello, Stefan. Hello, you're on mute, Stefan.
Yeah. Now you can hear me, I think.
Yes, perfectly. Welcome to the pitch room. The juries are in the jury's hall deliberating at the moment, so they will come, I think, in 1 minute, something like this. In the meantime, I invite you to share your screen and get ready for your pitch, and then once the jury are there, you can start.
Yeah. I think you can see the screen now.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yes, we can. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Be right back.
Yeah, perfect.
Hello, Stefan. Welcome.
Hello.
We are very excited, very curious. We wish you good luck. We have to warn you, we might ask questions, and we are in a hurry because you have only 15 minutes, so make sure that you don't get stuck too much in details that might be obvious already. So
okay.
Good luck. We are looking forward to it.
Thanks. Thanks for inviting us to this pitch on a Friday evening. I like the endurance character to see who is freshest. We at B4Plastics, so I'm Stefan de Wilderman, director and founder of the company. And together with the 15 colleagues nowadays, we are together B4Plastics. We strongly believe in the need for a paradigm shift in the plastics industry, and that is why we exist. And in our vision, there is a lot to redesign in the plastics universe, a new universe that is waiting for us. And we have been saying for years that we do that by striking the best balance between functionality, ecology, and costs to push the old fossil plastics industry towards a new plastics economy. In the meantime, we are also partially proving that we can do that, and there will be some examples. So that leads to our mission. We have a mission as a polymer architecture company, I think one in the first in the world that call themselves polymer architects. And this allows us to catalyze the introduction of novel biomaterials much faster and much more accurate than any other company, we believe, at this moment, and to grow them from niche to dominant bulk applications. The word niche is very important here because that's part of our strategy. So the problem is here reflected from the mainly microplastics problem, but there is of course a lot of problems with plastics, and we see that at the moment we have a customer pipeline of leads that we have just accumulating to 67 active leads that are in a kind of a waiting room. So it's unbelievable how much is going on in the whole plastic world nowadays. So what is then the solution? Why would we do anything else than any other company, of course? That is in the center of this presentation. You see that there is a talk about unique building blocks and then polymers. And that's exactly where we position ourselves. If you would see my two legs now, I'm standing on, one leg is standing on the building block side and one on the polymer side. And that's who we are. And with our left hand, we can look to what sources, raw materials, as local and renewable, we see achievable to make building blocks, to understand which ones to make, to convert them in novel polymer backbones. And with our right hands, we reach out to novel functionalities, novel balances between functionality, cost, and ecology, which translate in our technology platforms, 40 plastics, trigger, rubber, and low energy plastics. And we also serve the plastics community and industry with very customized new plastic grades. So here are the 4 living plastic platforms that we are controlling better and better. And I will dive into it in more detail. There is, of course, a lot of projects that support these platforms. We had the project Fibriscar, a BBI, Bio-Based Industries project that is finished. As a scale-up, it's also important to finish projects. Smartbox is another one. And to focus on 40 plastics, and I have some here, if you can see me. What I'm holding here in my hand is the strongest filament on the planet today that is still degradable. And you can do a lot of things with it. So if you see my mouse, it goes into fibers, yarns, articles, textiles. We are in another challenge in a competition for novel fishing gear. So to produce the first biodegradable fishing gear to eat ecological fish in the end, right? The durability is high to extreme. And we also, important to say, we have our first launching customer for this product. It's for a monofilament product. It's a worldwide brand. We have a lot of brand owners that try out our products nowadays. And the product is ordered in 100 tons, sorry, it's still Friday evening, in 100 tons in 2023. So we are over the point, a dream point of a scale-up where the customers are really tapping into the technology. That's to give reasoning behind what 40 Plastics is about. It's tapping into the market of nylons typically, which is a 42+ billion euro market. Nylons are also strong, but they are non-degradable. So we add an ecological function to it, also being to some extent bio-based, which is not the case for instance, polyamide 6. So we add those ecological features, bio-based and biodegradability, and we keep up tensile strength, modulus, and so on. Functionality remains intact, even is sometimes outperforming at a cost, which is at this moment slightly higher, but that is not at all a problem for the adopting companies, but which has the outlook to even drop below the fossil incumbents in typically some 9 years from now. In the same way, you find a lot of information about trigger plastics and rubber plastics. I also have here rubber plastic with me. It's the first rubber in the world that is really degradable. So I have to keep it here in front of me. So there's a whole thing to say about that platform also. But this is an investor slide, and we are in the first capital round, and we will settle the deal before Christmas. It's going very well. The European Commission might become one of our shareholders, so it's also played at a special level. I think we are the 4th Belgian technology scale-up since 2015 that is brought in front of the European Investment Bank for a shareholder discussion. And that is because our pipeline here is conservatively speaking, is in 2023, this first customer taps into the 40 Plastics family. And then about 1 year later, we are with big cosmetic brands nowadays. We expect that trigger plastics will follow the same trend. And we expect both platforms to grow to 10 million euros. So together 20+ million euro in only 4 or 5 years from now. But if you can see also the right-hand side, we anticipate that the sales and the serviceable obtainable market can easily go to €500 million. So depending on where we talk, we are actually on the way potentially to become one of the first unicorn bioplastics companies in the world. At least that is inside part of our ambition. That's also reflected in the fact that we have been growing through the pandemic, right? Factor 15 in the last 3 years. So we are in some more award sessions nowadays with those figures. So what makes us a bit unique, this polymer architecture character goes through three phases mainly. First, we have a screen phase, and in that phase, we go to 1 kilogram of prototyping, the material of wish for the customer, up to 1 kilogram in our own lab. In our own labs, we have 2 of them now. And to put it as such, we sell the first kilogram or the first 100 gram more expensive than the gold kilogram price. And that's because a lot of know-how goes in there, and the customer sometimes is given exclusivity, right? And then if that's checked off, mostly in screening phase 1A and 1B, if that checked off, we have our own piloting infrastructure also. And there we make multi-kilograms. I have, for instance, here 40 plastics. Since today, it's another milestone in a very nice granulate form. Maybe you cannot see it, it doesn't matter, but every week or every day, there is new results here to be happy about. That's why we need some happy hours from time to time. And I skipped the one of this Friday evening. And that's where we do the scaling. That's very important because the unique materials, we see a big gap in the world of materials between academic research and full-fledged industrial implementation. And by the scaling offering, we are closing that gap. We will have the mentor officially of, we will have a new mentor, and he's advisor to IMEC, and he sees even IMEC character in what we do, being fast and accurate in the development phase. That doesn't take away that we have an ambition, and more than an ambition, we have designs of the first specialty bioplastics manufacturing site, which we will locate here on my right-hand hand. You cannot see it because the background is not okay, but as a green field, and we will start the building of the production hall and a kind of a headquarter for WeForest next March. That's to have the full supply phase there. So that goes to 10 kiloton scale if you consider the whole plant that we have in mind.
If we compare the footprint, yeah, versus regular plastic, there's the waste aspect that's treated, but in terms of production, how does that work?
Yeah, we hold some world records in locality, and that's not yet a common understanding in the plastic world, but we are working on lines. I can reveal one. We are busy with converting waste French or Belgian fried oil into novel plastics. And that means that the oil as such is already bio-based, but also the logistics of it are very, very local. We will literally make plastics with resources that are only 100 or even 10 kilometers away from the destination where they will be marketed again. So that's a totally different way of looking at plastic materials, not on a global scale anymore, but much more locally. And extra to the fact that the carbon in most of our plastics goes up to 60, 80, 100% renewability, which of course is a big contributor to a better footprint. Also, the processes we use sometimes are lower in energy. So our low energy plastics platform focuses on materials that you can make even at room temperature. And we have a few customers for that. The request is out in the industry to also decrease production temperature, production pressure to ambient conditions. So we are also with our polymer architecture, it's not about which house we build, but also the way we build it, right? So the locality, the renewability, and the low energy processing makes it together really out-competing profile in carbon footprint.
Stefan, I have a question. A lot of bio-based plastics today are to a certain level degradable, but sometimes still need certain circumstances or be composted on an industrial level. Can I throw your plastic on my compost heap?
Yes, for sure. We have plastics that can even degrade within minutes and seconds. And we are the first company in the world that has 2 FTEs already in our team of 15. On a daily basis, we study the relation between natural microorganisms in different habitats and our different plastic platforms. And we are unique in that at this moment.
Okay, thank you.
So from all what I've been saying, I think it's also clear that that we are very close to 5 of the 8 Green Deal targets at the right-hand hand, and also the sustainability, the Sustainable Development Goals are adding up in everything that we are doing. By the way, that has also been an asset when we were in this very competitive pitch for the European Innovation Council, that they have been seeing that we have been so close to the Green Deal targets with a lot of what we are doing. We have a winning team so far, but let's be honest, I don't think that for the ambition of the company, this team is the final team to make it all happen. So one of our challenges is the understanding how to transition this team into the next stage, because in the coming years, we will transition from a pure, fast and accurate development company into partially also a supply company. And that means at the left-hand side of this slide, where we have 3 dedicated people already in place, we need to build and we need to understand the relationship also with sales and with R&D. We have been growing from an R&D axis, of course. And that's also our question. In this award, we understand that BrightWolves could mean a lot to us for mentoring us in how to optimally make a team ready for the next steps that we have so well in place now. We have already a lot. We are also doing an in-house HR exercise at the moment with an external company. And what we have is depicted there. There is an exceptionally high vision and passion apparently in the company, which has been appeared. We have experts that solve problems of big brands that are working for decades already on the problem, literally. That's what they tell us. So the expertise is okay, very okay. The team spirit is very good, atmosphere, dynamics. Also, the people have a lot of freedom because we work on longer term projects, typically 1, 2, 3, 4 years time. This material, which will be in the trimming line business, by the way, Bosmaier, it's a trimming line to cut your grass, this one. That's a project that started in 2019, and you hear me say this will be on the market in 2023. So this is a cycle of 4 years that we have to run. That means that people need also a certain freedom, of course, with intermediate milestones. And the fact that they are free to do what they think about is one of the positive comments that we get. What we still need is much more organization, much more structure, role division, workload management, more formal lines and information communication. One of the formal things we installed was SAP Business One very early on to prepare ourselves for a growth that continues like this. But it also means that the team should be plugged and should be formed into such structures. So I think that's the biggest challenge for now. But we are confident, of course. But that might be a relationship to BrightWolves.
Yeah, very clear. No, indeed.
Yeah.
Stefan, sorry to interrupt you. The 15 minutes are over for the pitch. So maybe if you want to make a last point before the end.
Yeah. Yes, just this is our location and this is our website. There's a lot of information there. And that was also the pitch. So.
Great. Thank you very much, Stefan. Thank you for this very complete and great pitch. I will now let the jury go deliberate.
Thanks a lot. Have a good Friday evening and later on a good weekend to all.
Thank you, Stefan. Enjoy the rest of the happy hour.
Bye-bye. I do my best.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, Marie-Noël.
Hello, good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the pitch room. So the jury is at the moment deliberating in a separated room about the previous participant. They will take maybe 1 extra minute or 1 minute and a half. In the meantime, I invite you to share your screen so you can get ready for the.
So they won't see me, they will just see the screen, or they will see both?
They'll see you, and yes, they will see your camera. They will see the little square of your camera.
Okay.
I do see you at the moment, so.
You see me and you see my full screen, or at
not yet the full screen.
Play from the start. Voila.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's great.
Okay.
All right.
That's all you see, right? You don't see anything else, just the PowerPoint. Yeah.
Yeah, just your PowerPoint, exactly. So I wish you all the best, and I will be back in 1 minute normally.
Yes. Okay.
Bonjour, Marie-Noël.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome. We are super happy to have you. We are very curious. Just warn you that we might ask questions while you present, and also be careful that we only have 15 minutes all in.
Yes.
Good luck.
Okay, I'll go very fast because I also realize you guys have been seeing like already 8 presentations, might be totally dizzy with so much. So I'm going to have a little different approach, a little disruptive. And I will start talking about the cause that my NGO defends before talking about my NGO, because I think it's worth a few minutes on that. So first about climate change and the model that we developed, or that we follow. It's possible to still do something for climate. Then we'll talk about our model more specifically, the impact on sustainability that forests have, the growth and the achievements, and then the market potential, as well as how BrightWolves can help. And there are 2 different ways that we see. And notice the Barack Obama the quote on the left-hand side. I think it's worth saying that. So doing something about climate, and I know some of you are from the shift and others are all interested in sustainability. It is still possible, even though 3 weeks ago we received this terrible news from IPCC, the last report called Code Red for Humanity. It is really raising, the flag, and it's like probably the last opportunity we have to do something, so we better wake up. And it's not just about recycling or plastic, what we're talking about. It's, as you know, it's much more serious. In terms of the area that my NGO takes care of, it's the forest. And we now know from the different studies, not just this last IPCC, but the recent studies, how much is needed for what impact. So a lot of publications have come out talking about 10 million square kilometers or 1 billion hectares. That is the equivalent of the United States in terms of surface that we need to add to the existing forest in the world in order to have a significant carbon capture and sequestration. So that means we need to add to the current forest 25%, which will sequester 200 gigatons of CO2. And this represents an absorption of sequestration of 25% of the excess carbon in the atmosphere. Because as you all know, I don't think I need to tell you about that. It's all about the excess carbon that we need to get rid of. And what WeForest does, the NGO that I started 10 years ago, is making Earth cooler with trees. And we are very encouraged by what we see. And we're not the only ones, as you know, there's many other, fortunately, organizations doing that. So we are a Belgian-based NGO, non-profit, maybe different from the other players and the other in the competition today. What we do is we restore forest, engaging local communities in the tropical countries. And it's with them, for them that we do it. So the social aspect of it is fundamental if you want something to last, because you can't do it from Brussels, right? You got to do it with the people. And so the expertise that we have in our team and the way we do it is with a landscape approach. We take a whole region, we focus on the forestry activities. We obviously look at the carbon and the water science in order to make it a workable solution. We focus on the biodiversity and the wildlife that we want to protect or enhance. We work on the soil quality and also water in the soil. And very important, the socioeconomic activity, so that the farmers or the local communities get more out of standing trees than timber, potentially, or charcoal. We work in tropical countries, and we have obviously regular measurements of the impact that we do. And we can say that we address all of those SDGs in our projects. We create jobs for women primarily, because planting trees is not too heavy, and nursery work is also very suitable for women. We work in sustainable agriculture. The women, as I said, sorry, that's number 5, are empowered in what we do. And the water cycle, number 6, is very central to our work. Even though most people talk about carbon, we like to focus on water as well. And water being water in the soil, being cloud nucleation, being everything. Economic growth for the community is something we invest a lot of money in. Also number 13, which is the climate. Obviously it's the carbon, it's also the water, but here it's more the carbon. That 50% of a tree is a sequester by 50% of the biomass of the tree is sequestered carbon. And if you protect the tree for the long term, then you sequester the carbon for the long term. Number 15, we combat desertification in many areas in the world, and we enhance the biodiversity. And we can't do that alone, so partnerships are essential for our success. WeForest is not a startup to some extent. We started 10 years ago and we are already 50 people. So probably compared to the other startups you're interviewing, it's quite different. And so that's why the approach here is a little disruptive. It's a little different from what you've seen. We work with corporates. Duvel, for example, is already one of your clients. We work with UCB, Nike, Shopify. We have like 450 companies around the world. So you're saying, well, why is she pitching this here? Because this is for startups. Well, be patient. I'll tell you what we think is still in startup mode or in infant shoes. We have reached, we are going to be reaching actually in September around 50 million trees, restored or protected 40,000 hectares, which is the equivalent of 2.5 times the Brussels region. This sounds nice, but it's actually peanuts. It's actually a drop of water on hot sand, because we know it works. We've been making a lot of noise about it. We're very happy to see many others do what we do, but there is so much need and so urgent it's so urgent to replicate. So the approach that we're suggesting for today is that you guys could help promote the movement, because you are involved in advising corporations, and whether they plant with us, whether they plant with anybody else, that they support, they stop deforestation, obviously, in their supply chain, and that they support reforestation. But the interesting thing here also is that we've decided this year that we can't continue to grow as we're growing. We're doubling our impact every year. We're growing big time, hiring amazing teams. We can't continue to go too fast because, you know, the risk of that. So we've decided to kind of start an accelerator where we want to help other guys to scale, because we're non-profit. So we like others to copy what we do. Everything that we do is open source, we give it. So we are just starting to think, how can we accelerate and create clones of ourselves around the world? And this is where we thought you guys could be helpful. We need hundreds of new WeForests. Just to look at the numbers for a second. We said before, we need to grow more forests, the equivalent of the USA. So 25% more forests than what we have today in the world. Yet every year, we lose 3 times the area of Belgium. We lose 10 million hectares every year in different places in the world. There is a lot of reforestation, like WeForest and many other organizations, but we're not catching up. We're still losing every year because we're like right now just restoring half of what's being degraded. So let alone growing to get, you know, the 25% additional. So it's just, we are losing on this and we need it big time. And so what we're saying is we need this acceleration. We need to empower small NGOs in their regions to take a lead. We see a lot of small NGOs in Africa, in Latin America, in Southeast Asia. They don't have the capabilities, they don't have the skills, they have the willingness, but they're not able. So we are helping some, but we need to do much more. And that's our ambition, besides obviously what we do directly. So again, you could help us with the conceptualization of our accelerator model and see what could we do? How do we take care of the funding, of the training? How do we select candidates? How do we take responsibility or not for the work they do? Because that could be very heavy. So we'd love a sounding board to help us define that this coming year, actually, would be for 2022. And then the second, as I mentioned before, the raising awareness and visibility for this cause, because this cause, as you saw the numbers, is in its infant shoes as well. So it's not WeForest in it as a startup, but the whole cause needs to be pushed. We need everyone, we need every company to start acting. And that's, you know, cry for help. That's basically the purpose of this short pitch. So thank you, and I welcome your comments and questions.
Thank you. It's I really admire your passion and work. A question is how what's like the setup that you do? How do you create a kind of economic activity in the, what are the beyond the trees? What are the other actions that you take?
Well, for example, in many of the projects, we have beehives because honey is quite a good income. And so it gets sold, and it's obviously connected to the health of the flora around. So it's directly correlated to that. In the mangrove project that I'm visiting next week in Senegal, we're going to be working with oysters because it is generating income, but it's also protecting the coasts where the mangroves are. So every situation is different. You need to explore what people need, what people do culturally, and then come up with suggestions of how to do that. The difficulty that we have is it's easy to distribute money, but we don't want to do that. We want people to generate their money because that gives it much more value. So development aid is not what we do. We really try to develop economic models, but that's very complicated because you enter in very different supply chains and you've got to find experts. So it's still there. Also, there is work to be done. improving the supply chains.
Can you share some numbers? So you share the number of 50, 60 employees or people working at WeForest. Do you have other numbers to share? Or?
Yeah, I didn't put that in the slides. Indeed, we are going to be raising 10 million euros this year, which is almost double from last year. It's like just as that's meant by exponential growth. Yeah, we impact thousands. I mean, we'd have to see how many in total, but thousands of farmers every year in every project. Like now in Ethiopia, we've just worked with 23,000 farmers, which means 110,000 people just in one project. So depending on the project, it's a very different model. What else can I say? We are not trying, we don't want to continue growing at this pace because we don't believe in huge organizations that become very rigid. We have the advantage of being super flexible and free of, finding out like what works best and inventing new models and copying others and sharing. So that's kind of who we are in our culture.
Yeah, I have a question. Sometimes there are some, let's say, cynical voices around reforestation, where then the argument is like, for instance, you lose farmland when you plant new trees, and somewhere on the other side of the world, they will chop trees to create new farmland to compensate in a way. So
yeah.
How do you go about that criticism, or how do you try to avoid it? Because I think there is some truth in it.
Yes, it's definitely, there's all kind of things happening. What we do is we obviously, there's several questions in what you said, right? One is, do we replace farmland with trees? Well, no, because when we have farmers somewhere, we plant trees with them on their farm so that their yield actually is going to be better. Because if you plant nitrogen fixing trees, your maize crops are going to grow much better, right? So actually, where there are farmers, we work with them in agroforestry. Where there are no farmers, where there's community land, and obviously the land is degraded, and we measure the additionality. Like what we're doing is bringing additional value. It's not, displacing. That's fundamental in the model. We have also certification of our projects, and there are several criteria: additionality and no leakage, because what you're talking about is leakage. And that's a fundamental criteria, otherwise you don't even get certified for the quality of your work. So, I mean, obviously it's happening all over, you're right. And it should not be. That's why also we have a vast interest in influencing others in doing it right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marie-Noël, for this great pitch and those answers, very clear. It's the end of the 15 minutes.
Okay, already.
Yes, it went fast, yes. It was really interesting.
Yes, I hope you had fun and you learned a lot, and hopefully you can help some great organizations we need.
Yes, in any way we will find. Thank you very much, Marie-Noël. All the best.
Bye, you guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I invite the jury to join the jury's hall, and then the last participant will join.
So Jorrit, can you try to share your screen?
Hello, Yuri. Are you there? I don't see Yuri in the room. All right. Hello, Yuri. Could you? Yeah, perfect. Could you share your screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Let's try to test it.
So I can share just one window. Huh?
Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect.
It's working perfectly.
Okay, great.
Okay, right. Well, the jury is still deliberating about the previous participant in the jury hall, so I will go and then reach out to them and tell them to join this, and then once they're here, you can start your pitch.
Yep. Okay, great. Will you give me a sign, because I don't really see who's in the meeting?
Yeah, I will. I will intervene 1 minute before the end.
Yeah.
To have the timing, and the jury will also drive with the questions.
Okay, but I mean, will you tell me when to start? Because I cannot see
yeah.
when the jury is in the call, I think.
Okay. Normally they should appear and should hear them, but otherwise I will make sure to give you a starting
Okay.
heads up. No
Great.
worries.
Thank you.
All the best, right? You're welcome.
Thank you. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Jorrit. We are very excited, very curious. I like to bike, so that's looks very promising. We might interrupt you with questions and make sure to stick to the 15 minutes. So good luck.
Okay, thank you very much. So welcome. My name is Jorrit Heidbugel. I'm one of the co-founders of Ellio Bikes. As you can see, our tagline is "Move in Traffic," and that's of course not a coincidence, because I don't think I need to tell you that we have a real mobility problem in Belgium. People are more and more looking for ways to not only get moving in traffic, as in to actually not be in traffic jam, but to get somewhere, but also to be more active, to be less sitting still in the car and to really move. And of course, bicycles have a huge potential. They've proved to have a huge potential in this modal shift, as it's called, to go away from cars, especially in city traffic. Now, just to show you a little bit what the current status is in bicycle industry, nowadays e-bikes, which are electrified bicycles, and also speed pedelecs, which are the e-bikes which go up to 45 kilometers an hour. They have huge potential in the market because of their concept, but they are built actually just based on normal bikes. So you can just see this is almost a normal bike, and this is an e-bike. So you just add a motor, a battery, and in case of a speed pedelec, a rear view mirror, and then you have an e-bike. But of course, you can see the rest of the bike is not adapted. It's very nice for cyclists who get a little extra push while cycling, but it's not really a convincing alternative to car drivers, the real car drivers. This is also what we see. We see that e-bikes are cannibalizing the classical bike industry. People who used to cycle are now riding e-bikes, but they are not so successful in getting people out of cars. And that is exactly why we at Ellio didn't start from the bicycle, but from a car perspective to build our e-bike and speed pedelec, which is Ellio. And now the whole concept of Ellio is about carefree commuting, as we call it. And that is why we didn't use classical bicycle technology, but we built our own technology. We developed it ourselves to make Ellio more easy to use, so easier to use, safer, and more reliable than bicycles are today and any other e-bike. So give me a few moments to just walk you through the features of our technology. So Ellio is the only bicycle with a two-wheel drive system. We know this kind of technology from cars, where all-wheel drive is really the standard on traction and stability and on-road performance. And we have the same idea, the same concept in Ellio. So it's a two-wheel drive system, both front and rear wheel are electrically driven. Combine this with traction control and electronic stability programs like we developed, and you get really unmatched traction and stability up to 45 km/h speeds, which gives Ellio a lot more safety than a classical speed pedelec. Now, another problem is that car drivers are used to be very comfortable. They typically don't want to do too much effort, especially when going to work, because then you waste time taking a shower and stuff like that. So this is why we totally got rid of the idea that an e-bike has to look like a bicycle. We made the battery very, very big. It's the biggest on the market, 1150 watt-hours, which means that you can ride up to 80 kilometers at speeds of 45 km/h without breaking a sweat. And this is very important because this means that for all distances up to 30 kilometers, you can travel them in the same time as you would do with a car. We also use electric braking to charge a battery a little bit, which is just an added surplus to give you a few extra kilometers. And reliability is a huge issue. A lot of people don't realize this when they're used to cars. A car is always ready for you when you need it. And you just step in and you never even ask yourself whether it's going to run in the morning. With bicycles, this is a totally different problem. They still have chain drives usually. The tires are flat very often, and they always want to minimize friction in the drivetrain, which makes them very vulnerable to water ingress. So they need a lot of maintenance. We totally got rid of this. We made the bicycle go heavier. We use belt drives instead of chains. The tires are thicker and more sturdy, so they're flat free. And we use industrial bearings and sealing, which have a little more friction, but they keep out the water entirely. So we don't need any maintenance. We're completely maintenance free. The only thing you need to replace are brake pads every 5,000 kilometers, which is about 2 to 3 times better than any other speed pedelec on the market today. And then I saved the best for last. We have a completely automatic transmission. So with usual speed pedelecs, you still have to use the gears. It's typically still a derailing gear. We use the system very close to an automotive gearbox. So as you can see, the handlebar is completely empty. You just cycle, and Ellio feels which cadence you would like, so at which speed you would like to cycle. The gearbox is electronically controlled, so when you make a sudden stop, even at high speeds, and you want to take off again, the bicycle is always again in the lowest gear, so you never have any starting problems. And then something we really like to use with our customers is the fact that our gearbox is completely electronic. Also means that it doesn't have any mechanical boundary conditions, let's say. So nothing is really fixed in a mechanical way. It's all software, which also makes that every bicycle on the road now can be completely retuned just on the go. So via software updates based on the riding behavior of our cyclists, We changed the gear ratio of the transmission and the way Ellio rides, and we just make the bicycle better as it gets older, which is exactly the opposite, of course, of every other bicycle. Yeah, I always, I still put this picture in. It's one of the pictures from our early development. We tested it, of course, in extreme conditions. I really like this picture, but I must say now, this is nothing compared to 500 bikes on the road and all the kilometers people actually ride with them. You can never test for that. So this was the best test we ever had, but we learned a lot from this, and we're very happy with the result now. Ellio proves to be really, really sturdy, and our customers love it. So yeah, let's go from there. So that's it. I kept the pitch very, very short, and I'll be happy to answer all your questions.
I have one.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. I have a question, but it's a practical question. I have an e-bike myself, and as you mentioned, like e-bikes look like other bikes, and maybe that's not ideal. So I like that angle. At the same time, I do think that for like spare parts and so on, it's also not very standardized. Do you see that as something that will make it more difficult for customers to be convinced to take the step to this type of a bike, or do you not really see that kind of hesitation?
No, very rarely, because we do all the service ourselves. So in the beginning, we used to sell via dealer network, and then people were very hesitant because it looked so different from everything else. And also the dealer felt a little uncomfortable explaining this. Now we do the service ourselves. We also sell the bikes directly. And people just immediately hear that we know so much more about bicycles than the typical bicycle dealer does, or at least of the technology built in our Ellios. And it gives them a lot of confidence rather than scares them off.
Wouldn't that hamper scale? Because then you need to have facilities at a lot of locations, I imagine.
Yes, we actually changed this concept a little bit. So we don't have a lot of stores. We have now 2 stores, and we cover complete Flanders. And that's because we do the maintenance on site. So because we need very few we have a very long maintenance interval. We only, even very intensive cyclists, we only need to see twice a year. So not very often. And we found that people are willing to go quite far to buy a bike, but not to service it. So this is why we come at home to service it, but they have to come to us to buy it.
Okay, thank you.
My question was on, we know that e-bikes and the increase in e-bikes has a consequence that there's a huge black market, and those are stolen even much more than the normal bikes. There's a lot of your competitors that are working on security features. Like, what are you doing on that side? And if not now, like, is that a priority for the future?
Yeah. So we sell 98% speed pedelecs, and speed pedelecs are a little less vulnerable to getting stolen because they are like cars. They have a license plate, they have a chassis number, and they have papers that you need to get them on the road. So plus the best way still to keep a bike from getting stolen is to buy very expensive locks, which is not strange if you buy a bike for 7,000 euros, like an Ellio. But people are usually not buying locks of 250 euros for a bike that only costs 1,000 euros. So this is yeah, we haven't had a lot of problems with this. Putting that aside, we are now working on just the integration of a smart lock. So yeah, we just use a normal ring lock around the wheel. We're going to replace this with a smart lock, which has all these features just integrated. So this is not really our core business to develop. There's very good third-party solutions on the market for this already.
Okay, thanks. You mentioned then the price, like in terms of the market that you're targeting, isn't that higher price going to be one of the disadvantages that you have against your multiple competitors?
So in terms of price point, we're not the most expensive speed pedelec. So If you look at all the speed pedelecs, you can put them into two categories. You have the speed pedelecs that actually go 45 kilometers an hour in all conditions, and those that don't. We're in the first category, so we do 45 kilometers an hour in all conditions. And there's only 3 or 4 brands now that actually do this, and they're all priced above 6,000 euros, except for Stomer's lowest class model, but they also struggle to get to this 45 kilometers an hour. So we're actually not that bad in terms of price, especially because we use a belt drive, which is not typically seen on bicycles in our price range. So we don't really have a price handicap in the current market, although we do feel that when you look at the car drivers, that this price point is a little bit of a problem. So to make it really into a main market product, we feel like the price point of 6,000–7,000 is a bit too high. Cyclists are used to spending huge amounts of money on a bicycle, but car drivers look at this and they compare it to a second-hand car, for example, and then it's hugely expensive. So we really want, and this is one of the challenges we would like to solve with BrightWolves, is to change our supply chain so that we can move to rather 5,000 euros than 7,000 euros in terms of selling price.
Thanks.
Would the jury have other questions? Otherwise, I think this is then the end. It was the last pitch of the BrightWolves Sustainability Challenge. Thanks a lot, Jorrit, for this very professional pitch. It was great to know more about Ellio.
Thank you.
And then I wish you all a great weekend, and thank you very much for participating to this great event. You will hear from us soon by mail and other communication means with the recording of the event. So that was a great edition. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So we move back to the breakout, or?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Because we are still live here, I see. So
yes, breakout room.